Life has its own light, and before she completely fades away, illuminating him even a little bit is all she can do. She loved him so much, wishing he would always remember her. Our main character's former college crush, Xia Ningxi, just passed away, but then he accidentally taps her WeChat profile, triggering an old automatic nudge message, asking her to hold him. 5 minutes later, she actually replies, asking if his wife would mind. Go back to graduation day. He finally gathered the courage to write her a deep confession letter. After days of torturous waiting, he finally got a reply one night with 3 incredibly suggestive words. Come to my house. He knew this invitation was way too forward, but he still went. He even spent a fortune buying a black suit for the occasion. He was so happy on the way there, but the second he pushed the door open, he completely froze. A room full of women were already drinking and stared at him with teasing eyes. Xia Ningxi was leaning lazily against the bar, holding a champagne glass, looking gorgeous but distant under the dim lights. Suddenly, a handsome man carrying a drink put his hand on her shoulder and asked if this was her new little boyfriend. Xia Ningxi coldly replied he was just a student working in her lab. And that was true. For 4 years, he was just her quiet lab assistant, following her around like a shadow, harboring a crush that slowly poisoned his soul. But he just could not hide his feelings anymore. The handsome guy eyed him up and down with a smirk, mocking his clean outfit. Chen stood there completely embarrassed under everyone's playful stares. Then Xia Ningxi walked over. Honestly, she really just invited him over to clean her drunk mess. He rushed into the kitchen with his head low, but heard the man's voice behind him saying that the kid clearly liked her, followed by a burst of laughter. His obvious love was nothing but a joke to them. Another woman even joked that since the handsome kid loved her so much, she should just accept him. He immediately felt incredibly humiliated, scrubbing the glasses fiercely while his heart hammered, desperately trying to listen to her response over the rushing water. And then he heard Xia Ningxi chuckle coldly, saying, "Forget it." The guests laughed and asked why, since he was handsome, sweet, and hardworking. So why are you being so picky? Xia Ningxi jokingly retorted, who would ever love a disabled person? He had no idea how he left her house, crying uncontrollably. He was deaf in his left ear and hard of hearing in his right, relying on a cheap hearing aid. Did disabled people not have the right to love? His pride was completely crushed by her. He swore he would never love her again. His mental state plummeted, so his older sister started picking him up from school every day. Because of this, rumors spread that she was his girlfriend and they were getting married. It was so absurd, but he did not care to explain. After getting an offer from a university abroad, he packed his bags and left. 5 years went by in a flash until his alma mater finally reached out with a great job offer. He returned, and while cleaning his new office, he found an old newspaper. After 5 years, her name suddenly flashed before his eyes. The headline was devastating. Famous young physicist Xia Ningxi passed away at her home, aged 32. Her black and white photo showed her looking as beautiful yet distant as always. A student helping him pack leaned over and asked if this was Professor Xia. His entire body went cold as he tremblingly asked how she died. The student recalled that she was terribly ill but refused hospitalization to finish a research project, surviving on pills for years. He stared blankly at the newspaper as the student's voice grew distant, explaining that about 2 years ago, Professor Xia successfully created a bio-regenerative cochlea, only to pass away days later. And this office was actually hers, sealed since her death. And that is when the artificial cochlea inside his own ear suddenly started screaming with sharp static. He covered his ear, whispering that he understood. The student stopped talking and quietly left. The door clicked shut. The newly cleaned office felt massive and empty, with green trees swaying gently outside the window. Sunlight poured in, highlighting the dust motes. He sat there, hands and feet freezing. Honestly, over the years, thinking of her only brought up bitter resentment. He never wanted to see her again. But now, realizing they would truly never meet, it hurt so bad. After sitting in silence for a long time, he pulled out his phone and opened their WeChat chat. The last message was from 3 years into his studies. She had sent him a rare New Year greeting, wishing him peace and happiness in the years to come. That must have been her final New Year on this earth. Back then, he was so stubborn and resentful that he did not reply to a single word. With shaking hands, he keeps tapping her avatar, crying that if he had only replied, maybe they could have met one last time. Yi Chen's phone suddenly vibrates, and he realizes he accidentally double-tapped Xia Ningxi's profile picture, triggering her custom status. The screen says he patted Xia Ningxi and told her to come into sister's arms. Before his sadness can even hit him, he's just stunned. This playful message completely throws him off. See, if you use WeChat, you know how this works. Double-tapping a profile picture sends a nudge, but the recipient gets to customize the tail end of that text. So Xia Ningxi actually set her status to come into sister's arms? That's so unlike her. Before he can even process this, another message pops up. It reads, "Doesn't your wife mind?" Yi Chen freezes. A dead person replying? No shot. How is that even possible? Xia Ningxi passed away almost 2 years ago. WeChat didn't even have this feature yet. How could she set that? Someone must be using her old phone. He quickly types a message. Who is this? The reply is instant. Xia Ningxi. She even teases him, asking why he didn't even save her contact name. The tone is dangerously familiar, but he refuses to believe it. He texts back, "Stop pretending. I know she's dead. Why impersonate her?" The screen goes quiet for minutes. Anxious, he presses her to speak until Xia Ningxi finally replies. She asks if he wants her dead that badly, joking that she's texting him straight from her coffin. Her playful voice echoes in his head. He shivers. Is this a ghost? Then she adds, "It's pretty dark around here. Are you scared?" His hands start to shake. The phone almost slips from his grip. If this isn't a sick prank, then who or what is he actually talking to? Yi Chen quickly hits the voice call button, his heart in his throat. After a tense moment, she actually answers. But the other side is dead silent, as if she really is trapped in some dark, airtight space. No background noise at all. No signs of life. Shaking, he whispers, "Xia Ningxi, is that you?" Then her deep, warm voice finally breaks the silence. She softly answers yes, it's her. He drops the phone in shock, fumbling to grab it while she chuckles on the other end. With warm sunlight streaming in, he refuses to believe in ghosts. As a physics guy, his mind races through scientific possibilities. He leans toward the theory of parallel universes. It's absolute wild, but he decides to just ask her directly. He blurts out the question, asking for her exact date. She replies with May 11th, 2018. She seems completely amused by his panic, playfully calling him a dummy and saying time flows the same, even in a coffin. But hearing that year makes his eyes well up. It's not the same. She is stuck in 2018, while he's in 2021. They are separated by 3 whole years. He asks if she'd believe he is from 2021, but the call suddenly cuts off. Staring at the silent screen, his mind is a mess. She probably thinks he's lost his mind, right? Honestly, who wouldn't? This whole thing is just too insane to believe. But 10 minutes later, she texts back, jokingly apologizing for the bad signal in her coffin. He doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is so her. In public, she was always the perfect, elegant lady, but around him, she couldn't hide her playful mischief. She had this subtle, wicked sense of humor that always made him feel he was special to her. Only later did he realize her casual warmth masked a deep, calculated distance. Swallowing his bitterness, he texts, "Do you believe me?" She replies, "Yes." He asks her why, and the typing status flickers for ages without any message actually coming through. He half expects Professor Xia to send a massive physics lecture explaining the mechanics of cross-time communication. Instead, she just texts back a simple line, "I believe whatever you say." He stares at it, bitterly replying, "You actually believe a disabled guy?" She goes silent. Just when he thinks she's done, she changes the subject, asking how 27-year-old Yi Chen is doing. Slightly petty, he replies that he is doing great, highly accomplished, and has even taken over her old campus office. She praises his success, but staring at her text, he can't help but reply with a trace of lingering resentment. He says even a disabled guy can shine and be loved. The typing status lingers forever before she finally asks a random question. She asks if he happens to know the next winning lottery numbers. Chen is speechless. He texts back that she has zero shame. That night, he drags his buddy Gu Feng out and gets completely wasted, crying about how she only cared about the lottery when he was heartbroken. His tears are flowing, but what hurts most is that he secretly regrets snapping at her. He even starts wondering if she's really struggling. If she is struggling for cash, talk about being a massive simp. After hearing about this cross-time connection, Gu Feng is stunned. He tells Chen he is indeed pathetic. But what's the point of pride? In 2018, she doesn't even know she only has a year to live. This obsession has driven Chen for years, pushing himself to be perfect just so she'd finally acknowledge him. He wanted her to admit she was wrong about him, but she's gone. Gu Feng sighs, reminding him that she fell ill without getting treated. Maybe besides funding her physics research, she really was broke. Clutching his bottle, Chen's heart aches for the past. Gu Feng freezes. He asks if Xia Ningxi got treated 4 years ago, would he be alive today? That way, she would see him again. Gu Feng's words absolutely shock her. Her alcohol-fueled brain is too chaotic to think. He warns that changing the past might trigger a butterfly effect. No one knows what the future would look like, and there is no guarantee they would meet again. But then, she sees a tiny spark of hope. Ecstatic, crying and laughing, she claws at her screen, determined to send him the winning lottery numbers. Searching them up online, she rapidly sends them over. But since it is past midnight, she panics and calls. Luckily, he answers. Before he can even speak, she desperately screams that she sent him the winning lottery numbers to buy a ticket. Xia Ningxi is totally speechless. With the alcohol hitting hard, she feels like she is floating, begging him to get treated. The thought of him dying absolutely breaks her. She weakly begs him not to die. Cold wind sweeps through the high-rises. In the silent night, her sobbing is loud, until he sighs and calls her a fool. Honestly, guys, my heart broke here. She foolishly loved him for so many years. Usually so quiet and dull, she only dared to speak up when drunk. Clutching her chest, she begs him to stay alive, even if he looks down on her disability. A muffled cough echoes. When he speaks again, his voice is incredibly raspy, yet still so gentle as he whispers for her to stop crying. He says her crying hurts him even more. Panicking, she asks where it hurts, and he softly replies, his heart. Waking up, she checks her chat. Memories return. She wants to slap herself. Talk about major emotional whiplash. This man makes absolutely zero sense to her right now. Still, she asks if he bought the lottery ticket, and he replies instantly, asking if she wants to split the cash. Nonchalant. Frustrating. It is like he is a completely different person. So she ignores him for days, until one evening her class ends. A student approaches, asking if it is true that Professor Yi was once Professor Sha's student. She pauses. Honestly, she only attended a few of his lectures, but they were always completely packed. Getting into his classes was a major trend that crashed the school network. The student then hesitates, mentioning how everyone is gossiping about whether Professor Ye and Professor Sha are a couple. Realizing they just want some juicy gossip, she shakes her head, but the student looks disappointed. She laughs at their reaction. Ever since she returned, there have been endless rumors about them, though she never really took them seriously. The student quickly insists she is lying, using rumors as evidence. No shot! Apparently Xia Ningxi chose the bio-regenerative cochlear implant as his final research project specifically for her! Stunned, she asks what cochlear implant they are talking about. The student explains it is the one called Misheng, shocked that she does not even know about it. There is even a forum thread titled Voices Inside the Lifeline. As they babble, she suddenly feels a sharp buzzing pain in her implant, a brutal headache. Sitting in a daze at home, she finally opens his chat. Her fingers hesitate, typing and deleting messages repeatedly. She has no idea what to say anymore. Too many secrets are buried in those hidden years. Before she can send anything, Xia Ningxi messages her first, playfully asking what is taking so long. Ignoring his joke, she types a quick response, too overwhelmed by her desire to see him.
She asks to see him. Caught completely off guard, Xia Ningxi suddenly goes silent.
Desperate, she initiates a video call, but he neither answers nor hangs up, leaving it ringing in the dark. The ringing stops. Suddenly, a piercing headache hits, and she curls up on the sofa to send one last text. Tears well up. Why protect her now after being so cruel back then? Why is he being so cruel? Why leave these vague romantic hints right before dying, only to push Ye Chen away when he tries to get close? Just as he hits absolute rock bottom, the video call ringtone suddenly breaks the silence. Honestly, Ye Chen was dying to see him, but now that it is actually happening, his heart is panicking like crazy. He scrambles onto the couch, quickly fixes his messy hair, and finally hits accept. The screen flickers, and he holds his breath as his heart completely stops. The screen looks almost frozen. There is no movement, just a quiet night scene with cold moonlight slicing through the window. Xia Ningxi is sitting right there in the shadows, looking so fragile and thin, almost like a distant, faded dream. Then he slowly turns his head. He smiles at the camera with that effortlessly charming look. He jokingly asks why Ye Chen said he is not even human. He says any gorgeous beauty would be thrilled to see him, but at this very moment, Ye Chen just cannot bring himself to smile. He is staring blankly at the wheelchair Xia Ningxi is sitting in, his mind spinning as his voice starts to shake. He trembles, asking when this happened. Xia Ningxi knows exactly what he is talking about, and a gentle smile plays on his lips. He calmly replies that he cannot remember, but it has been a few years. He is so chill, like he is not even the one who is paralyzed. A crushing pain hits Ye Chen's chest, making it hard to breathe. He quickly points the camera away as tears start pouring down. Talk about a devastating plot twist. Back then, when Xia Ningxi said nobody would ever love a disabled person, Ye Chen thought it was a cruel insult. He had no idea Xia Ningxi was actually talking about himself. The silence stretches until Xia Ningxi softly sighs, telling him to stop crying like a baby. He admits he avoided video calls just to spare Ye Chen the tears. Hearing this, Ye Chen completely breaks down. He is sobbing too hard to speak, so Xia Ningxi playfully threatens to hang up if Ye Chen keeps ignoring him. Even though he knows it is a bluff, Ye Chen forces himself to calm down and points the camera back at his face. He holds the phone back, but his bloodshot eyes completely give him away. Xia Ningxi just smiles, teasing him for never changing. Ye Chen looks away, low-key angry that Xia Ningxi hid this major secret just to protect him. Like, who cares about a disability? Is loving a disabled person illegal? Xia Ningxi smirks, noting Ye Chen has grown a temper. But as Ye Chen goes to snap back, he spots his hands. The words die in his throat. Outside, the night wind gently rustles the white curtains behind Xia Ningxi as he rests his hands. His hands on the wheelchair are so pale, thin, and bony. He looks way more fragile than before, making Ye Chen's heart ache. But of course, his mouth slips and he snaps, teasing that without him around to cook, Xia Ningxi is probably starving. Honestly, Xia Ningxi is so detached from normal worldly desires that Ye Chen always feared the world could never hold on to him. Xia Ningxi just sighs, joking that it is Ye Chen's fault for spoiling his appetite. It is super sweet, but low-key heartbreaking. Ye Chen cannot help but wonder if things would be different if he had just stayed by his side. He quietly whispers that he is listening. He stares at the screen, tears welling up again. God, he wants to hug him so badly, but they are worlds apart. This helpless distance is literally torturing him. He just wants to feel him for real, no matter how many miles lie between them. If it were just distance, they could run to each other. But how do you bridge the gap when you are in entirely different worlds? Xia Ningxi looks down, eyes full of emotion, and softly calls him an idiot. Ye Chen's vision blurs with tears again. He chokes up, asking why he never replied to his letters, because if he had, he never would have left. Xia Ningxi sighs, revealing he actually did reply. Ye Chen is completely stunned, but before he can even ask why he never got them, Xia Ningxi cuts him off, telling him to stop being foolish and to live a bright life where nobody, including himself, should hold him back. Hearing him talk like this feels so incredibly heavy. Xia Ningxi tells him not to let anyone block his path to a better future. Chen refuses to listen, stubbornly telling him to stop lecturing because he decides his own life. Xia Ningxi hesitates, looking completely heartbroken. He looks so lonely, sitting there in the cold moonlight, swallowed by a deep, silent sadness that is hard to watch. That cold atmosphere slices right through Yi-Chan's heart. The absolute desperation to be with him is physically burning him alive. After a long silence, Xia Ningxi gently says that walking this long path all alone must have been so incredibly hard for him. He tells him to stop looking back and just keep moving forward. Right then, Yi-Chen gets a terrible feeling he is about to lose him again. Xia Ningxi smiles softly, saying he is so glad they got to meet again, but this is where it has to end. Panic sets in, and Yi-Chen literally screams his name. But Xia Ningxi just covers the camera, plunging everything into pitch-black darkness. His voice echoes through the dark, telling Yi-Chen to let the past go and just live a good, happy life. The call cuts off. Just like that, Yi-Chen's blood runs completely cold as reality crashes back down. With shaking hands, he tries to text him back, only to find out he is blocked. Still, he stubbornly keeps spamming messages. But everything just sinks into a void. He knows Xia Ningxi is never going to reply again, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. Xia Ningxi is just too disciplined. Once he makes a choice, he never looks back, leaving Yi-Chen alone in the crushing silence. It hurts so much. Xia Ningxi was incredibly cruel, leaving without a goodbye. She always controlled their beginning and end, leaving Yi-Chen in tears, sending a text she would never receive. He low-key hated her, but that was nothing compared to how much he loved her. The story starts years ago, when the famous Professor Xia was hiring a lab assistant. Students lined up in an insanely long queue just to work with her. But Yi-Chen was only there because he was dead broke. The interviewer saw his hearing aid and rejected him on the spot. It was a polite rejection, but the underlying disdain was obvious. He was used to this kind of prejudice, but his eyes still welled up with tears because of it. It especially hurt coming from a professor he respected. Keeping his head down, he turned to leave, accidentally bumping right into someone. Startled, he looked up to meet an incredibly gentle gaze. In that empty office, bathed in the gorgeous sunset, her slender frame looked completely angelic. She was surrounded by a soft golden light, and as their eyes met, she gently reached out to steady him. She frowned slightly. Behind her, the interviewer bowed respectfully, calling her Professor Xia. Nodding politely, Xia Ningxi turned her attention straight to him. Her eyes fell on his resume, and she asked why he wanted the job. He froze, completely embarrassed, before whispering that he was just poor. Work study was his only way to survive, and this job was the absolute jackpot. But admitting his poverty in front of a crowd was incredibly humiliating. It totally crushed his pride as a young man. But then she gently took his resume, a soft smile playing on her lips. She playfully said they were similar because she only wanted an assistant out of pure laziness. Light laughter broke out around them. She looked at his resume, then focused her warm attention back on him, addressing him formally as classmate Yi-Chen. She promised they would get along great. Hearing her say his name with such warmth sent a wave of comfort right through him. When someone is that kind, you can't help but want to give it back. That was the exact moment he fell for her like wildfire. His feelings spread rapidly. Xia Ningxi was actually a quiet introvert who avoided crowds and spent almost all her time locked away in the lab. She practically lived in the dark, but her intense focus was as dazzling as daytime fireworks. He spent countless nights just watching her shine. She was a woman of few words, usually deep in thought. They barely spoke a few sentences a day, but over time, they developed a deep bond. It was like unvoiced telepathy. The second she reached out, he knew exactly what she needed, and one look from him told her his thoughts. She often teased him for being a secret crybaby, and honestly, during those 4 years, he did shed a lot of tears. Whenever she burned her hand during an experiment, his eyes went red. When she pulled crazy all-nighters, he got worried sick. Thinking about those scary stories of overwork made him cry when she refused to rest, and when she fell ill, things got even worse. He would sit by her bed, constantly wiping away tears. She probably knew.
He wasn't a crybaby. He was just deeply in love. But she was always proper, never crossing any lines, while comforting his lonely soul.
She was his absolute sanctuary. Despite her aloof nature, his tears were her ultimate weakness. The second his eyes went red, she would immediately give in. She would grumble about how she had basically adopted a demanding little ancestor, but she still did whatever he asked. Those rare, cute moments of hers became his most treasured memories. To him, her lively smile was more beautiful than anything else in the world.
Those years belonged entirely to them. They were closer than anyone else. But here is the catch.
They were never actually lovers. Cut to the present, after losing touch with her, he took a few days off and drove to a cemetery. But surprise, surprise, someone was already there. Hearing footsteps, a man turned around, his eyes red from crying. Chen instantly recognized him. This was the same guy he saw years ago, right after he had confessed his love to Xia Ningxi. Back then, seeing this man lean intimately on her shoulder had completely shattered his heart. Suddenly, the stranger softly called out Chen's name. He didn't even care how this guy knew his name. He just nodded quietly and walked up to the grave. He placed a bouquet of sunflowers by her headstone. The man asked if he still remembered she liked them, looking surprisingly touched. But plot twist, she actually hated flowers. Her house and lab were always strictly minimalist, completely devoid of any useless decorations. Years ago, he had sent her a photo of a flower stall, hoping to buy some to brighten up her workspace. When he asked what she liked, she flatly replied, none. Sensing his disappointment through the screen, she quickly tried to soften the blow. She picked sunflowers just to make him happy. Ever since that day, those bright yellow flowers became a permanent fixture in her house. He would watch her read peacefully by the window, the sunflowers blooming right beside her. It was absolute perfection. The stranger laughed, asking how anyone could dislike flowers. Then he paused and muttered that his sister must have been a real handful. He complained she never admitted what she liked. Wait, did he say sister? They were siblings, but she kept everyone at a distance. The brother looked at him warmly and added that Chen was the sole exception. He wanted to argue, but it was true. Xia Ningxi had been a total loner. The brother stared at her gravestone and sighed deeply. He marveled at how fate works, that someone as cold and distant as her actually learned how to love someone. Can you believe it? The brother just shrugs and smiles, saying even he didn't expect it. He starts opening up about the past, recalling how Chen ran out of Xia Ningxi's house in tears that night, while the brother just teased him, making a big deal out of nothing. He mocked him, asking if he seriously did not feel bad seeing the kid about to cry. Usually so controlled, Xia Ningxi just stayed quiet, drinking way past his limits that night. He actually opened up to his brother that night, confessing that whenever he saw Chen's eyes turn red, it absolutely broke his heart. That was the exact reason he went soft-hearted during their very first meeting. Honestly, the way Xia Ningxi described their first encounter is just beautiful. He called it a beautiful, mystical clash of two lonely souls finding each other. He truly believed they were perfectly matched, and those 4 years of companionship were the ultimate blessing. It was a pure blessing, but when his brother asked why he never chased after Chen, a tipsy Xia Ningxi admitted he could not guarantee him any real future. To give him false hope would be an unforgivable sin. Recalling this, the brother wipes away a tear. Back then, Chen had no idea what that meant. He did not understand it until the illness could no longer be hidden. Xia Ningxi's death completely broke his brother too. The once vibrant, handsome man now looked so exhausted and defeated. Lines of exhaustion now cover his face. He kneels to arrange the flowers, his voice cracking as he reveals that during Chen's first year abroad, Xia Ningxi was so sick he could not even stand up. The cold wind rustles through the graveyard, leaving Chen's mind completely blank and numb. Before leaving, the brother offers him one final piece of heartfelt advice. He tells him to check out the voice message device because it was Xia Ningxi's final gift. Watching his retreating back, Chen suddenly thinks of something important. He quickly runs after him and asks for a favor. Can he please look through Professor Cha's personal belongings? Our boy is desperately hoping that the brother kept some of Xia Ningxi's things out of love. The brother turns around in complete silence. Chen has no idea how to explain his situation. How do you even begin to tell someone you received a mysterious call from the past? But the brother simply asks if he still has the house keys, saying they have not touched a single thing in the apartment. He tells him he can look at whatever he wants. After thanking him, Chen heads straight home. Before going abroad 5 years ago, he had carefully locked away everything related to Xia Ningxi inside his drawer.
Treasuring those memories now actually helps him. Stepping back into Xia Ningxi's apartment after 5 whole years honestly feels like stepping into another lifetime.
Everything is still in its exact place. Even the withered sunflowers on the coffee table by the window have crumbled into tiny, dry pieces. The family sealed this place up to avoid being reminded of him, leaving a thick, heavy layer of dust over everything. Chen does not have to search for long, though, before he finds what he needs.
He easily finds Xia Ningxi's old phone right inside the study drawer, gently wipes all the dust off, and plugs it into charge.
Even though he has been gone for nearly 2 years, the phone is surprisingly still working and turns on normally, showing it is stronger than its owner. Even his phone number was never canceled, and there is still a surprisingly large balance left. While waiting for the chat app to update, Chen notices a dusty little wooden box on the desk. He remembers buying this box at a secondhand market years ago. It did not cost much, but back when he was totally broke, it felt like a massive fortune. He just could not stand seeing Xia Ningxi's apartment look so empty, so he used to sneakily buy cute little vintage items to fill the space. Xia Ningxi loved beautiful vintage items, which is why he kept this wooden box on his desk. He had thanked Chen so sincerely for it back then.
He promised to cherish it forever, looking incredibly adorable while muttering that he would use it to store his absolute most precious treasures.
But honestly, Xia Ningxi lived such a simple, almost lonely life that he barely had anything he considered truly important to keep in there.
For the longest time, the box remained completely empty, but as Chen opens it up now, he is shocked to find 2 letters resting inside.
One of them is the confession letter Chen wrote to him upon graduation. Even in our highly connected digital age, Chen preferred the slow, romantic, old-school way of sending letters. He loved the romantic charm of a bygone era, putting all his feelings down in ink and waiting patiently for it to reach the hands of the man he loved. The words of confession were subtle, but the love carried inside was incredibly heavy, and tucked right underneath it is Xia Ningxi's actual reply. This is low-key heartbreaking.
Holding the yellowed paper, Chen's heart starts racing with thousands of emotions. He pulls back the curtains and sits by the window to finally read it.
As the warm sunlight filters through the window, he slowly unfolds the paper, revealing the beautiful reply that has been hidden for years, addressed to student Chen.
He wrote that the balcony door was wide open, the sun was shining, and he was sitting right there writing this letter back to him.
Xia Ningxi confessed he read Chen's letter over and over. He was thrilled they loved each other, but devastated they couldn't walk the same path. He pondered for so long, not knowing what to do. His own journey was ending, and his love had hit a dead end. But hearing that Chen was heading abroad for his studies, with a bright future ahead, made him genuinely happy. He wrote that angels on earth are never perfect, so Chen should never let other people's prejudices make him sad again. The road ahead of him would definitely be filled with sunshine and blooming flowers. Xia Ningxi assured him he was doing totally fine. He had met up with everyone to say his goodbyes, even secretly drinking some of his favorite vintage wine the night before. After finishing this letter, he planned to go buy a bouquet of those sunflowers. He reminded Chen that life is fleeting, so please do not grieve his passing. The winter sun was making him incredibly sleepy, and his eyes were starting to grow heavy. So he decided to stop writing there, leaving one final wish for his favorite boy. He wished his favorite boy a peaceful and happy life year after year. The letter was short and simple, but Chen reads it for a very long time, feeling the lingering warmth of his beautiful, elegant writing. Before this, Chen had been so incredibly impatient and overwhelmed by grief, but reading this letter finally brings a profound sense of peace to his aching heart. Chen sits in the sun and opens his chat with Xia Ningxi. Of course he is blacklisted. Turns out the past truly alters the future. He unblocks his own account, feeling pretty smug about this little loophole. He sends a text basically saying Xia Ningxi has no shot at shaking him off. An hour later, Xia Ningxi just replies with a silent sigh. Xia Ningxi is smart and instantly asks if Ye Chen is at his house. Yes, sitting on the study balcony. Talk about major deja vu.
Xia Ningxi already has his answer. He follows up with a text saying he forgot to mention something.
I actually passed away right where you are sitting now. Even with the warm sunshine, the room feels cold. Ye Chen just smiles and asks what happens next. Xia Ningxi jokes that the place is haunted. Ye Chen tells him to let the ghost out. He is smiling, but honestly, he just misses him so much. Xia Ningxi goes silent. Finally, a 2-word reply comes through. I am here. Ye Chen instantly knows exactly what he means. In that other timeline, Xia Ningxi is probably sitting in the exact same spot on the balcony. 2 parallel spaces, so incredibly close yet impossibly far. Honestly, this slow burn angst is destroying me. The tree branches now tower over the railing. Seasons change so fast, and everything seems fine. But without that one person, nothing feels right. Looking back at his screen, Ye Chen makes a promise. I will wait for you here forever. If you do not come, I will find you. This dedication is on another level. The screen stays quiet. Ye Chen can picture him frowning or sighing, so he just keeps typing.
Do not try to convince me otherwise or sigh at my obsession. Please, just fight to stay alive.
Dying for love is no legend. Xia Ningxi stops replying, but Ye Chen knows he understands. He spends the entire afternoon cleaning Xia Ningxi's house from top to bottom before finally leaving. Passing a local flower shop, he spots bright yellow sunflowers glowing in the sunset. The shop owner steps out. The owner smiles and recognizes him immediately, pointing down the street before Ye Chen can even speak. The owner asks if he is finally back from abroad, mentioning that Professor Xia told him about it. Yes, he is back. Hearing Xia Ningxi's name makes him want to ask more. Did he buy flowers often? Yes, until his failing health forced him to order deliveries instead. Then he said he was going on a long trip. Xia Ningxi always wrapped his painful truths in gentle lies. Ye Chen grabs a bouquet. The owner chuckles, saying both he and the professor really love sunflowers. Ye Chen just got used to them because of him. The owner wisely adds that sunflowers represent a silent, secret love. Ye Chen freezes. Other customers arrive, so he leaves. Later, looking up the meaning of sunflowers, it all clicks. All those years of one-sided love, turns out Xia Ningxi had been quietly answering him all along. They loved each other in silence. The reality of life and death is too heavy, so they never bring it up. Ye Chen usually hates small talk, but with him, he can ramble forever about every little sunset or breeze. He sends photos of pretty views, talks about books, movies, and shares every single emotion. Every detail of his life goes to Xia Ningxi, who mostly just listens. He understands it all.
Ye Chen quietly reminds him that the world is waiting for him. They have no idea what the future holds. Xia Ningxi takes perfect care of himself, so Ye Chen will not worry, keeping a strict, flawless routine. He texts exact updates on when he sleeps, wakes, takes medicine, and visits the doctor, always keeping it casual. He checks in daily. Both are just trying to cherish the present without making promises they cannot keep. But he is trying. When Ye Chen's sister gets married, he sends Xia Ningxi a wedding clip with a teasing text. He jokes about his wife marrying someone else, but the message carries a sudden, deep longing. Surrounded by the noisy wedding crowd, he carefully types out, "So, Xia Ningxi, can you come to my arms now?" His bold comeback seems to catch Xia Ningxi off guard. The chat goes completely silent as the wedding ends. Still no reply. Ye Chen sighs, checks the weather in the other timeline, and texts him. He warns him that it is going to rain tonight and to bring an umbrella. Then he drives home under a sudden downpour. The rain pours down as night falls. Traffic on the highway grinds to a halt under the endless, heavy storm. But amidst the sea of red taillights, Xia Ningxi suddenly calls. His soft voice asks if he is stuck in traffic. Ye Chen looks at the endless traffic and jokingly asks how he knew. To his shock, he actually guessed right. She laughs softly, saying she is there too, then instinctively looks out the window, knowing deep down they can't meet. Even in the exact same spot, space divides them. A simple phone call suddenly turns so heartbreaking. They both feel the heavy silence. Then Xia Ningxi speaks up, his voice raspy as he starts to answer her question.
Expecting another lecture, Chen cuts him off, saying they will meet again. Just wait until they do. The 7 p.m. storm floods the city, but through the noise, his voice breaks through the static, saying he loves her.
Driving home through the storm, her heart floats on cloud 9. 10 years of loving him, and finally, an echo.
They are officially dating across time, a quiet, beautiful love despite the thousands of miles between them.
Fate rewards those who hold on. She starts visiting Xia Ningxi's house in her timeline way more often.
Every single evening, she hops on video calls with him, sharing the exact same background. Living in the same apartment but different eras, they just chill, chatting about everything or staying silent. He reads while she watches dramas. Once, she gets so absorbed that she forgets he is watching her with pure adoration. Blushing, she covers her face and tells him to stop staring. He just laughs, teasing her to stare back.
Talk about cute relationship energy. She hits him with the classic line that looking won't let her hold him anyway.
For normal couples, it's cute banter, but for them, it carries a sharp sting of reality, which immediately ruins the mood. Seeing his eyes grow dim, she instantly regrets it and apologizes, but he gently tells her never to say sorry. Honestly, he has nothing to apologize for. His entire existence is the absolute best thing in her life. Reaching out to touch the screen, she smiles and says their cross-time dating is actually pretty cool.
Xia Ningxi never lets his sadness weigh her down, so he quickly pushes the gloom away and looks back at her.
He smiles warmly and agrees. Even though they can't hug, their love is louder than the physical distance. Later, while she's at his house, there is a knock at the door. It's the local florist with a massive bouquet of red roses. The florist explains that Professor Xia ordered them years ago to be delivered the moment she came back. Stunned, she brings the roses to the camera, asking how he did it. He just laughs at his smart planning.
The Xia Ningxi of 2018 scheduled a gift for the Chen of 2021. It's that simple.
Years later, the flowers still arrive fresh. When someone truly loves you, they'll always find a way to make you smile. After that first success, Xia Ningxi goes all out. He might seem cold on the outside, but he's actually a huge romantic. From daily flowers to holiday surprises, he coordinates everything perfectly.
She is constantly showered with gifts. Honestly, he does literally everything for her except physically being there.
They both do their best to bridge the gap, filling her apartment with tiny memories and tokens of his love. One day, her friend Gu Feng visits, spots the collection, and remarks that this is easily the most unique relationship ever. Gu Feng is the only one who knows their secret, so she naturally shares all their funny cross-time stories with him. She feels so incredibly proud of their bond, wishing she could brag about him to the entire world. Gu Feng looks at her happy face, hesitates, then decides to speak up despite the perfect mood. He warns her that living on crumbs of the past is like drinking poison to quench thirst. It cuts deep. Her heart shudders because she already knew the truth. She is fully awake, yet totally addicted. Since she chose this path willingly, she refuses to fear the future, even if things don't end well. Gu Feng just sighs, pats her shoulder, and says he hopes they get their happy ending. And the story isn't over yet. Fast forward to June 2019 in his timeline. Suddenly, he sends a message that he is going abroad for treatment. Her stomach drops. He had looked so much better during his recent checkups, so why the sudden move? Xia Ningxi calmly reassures her, saying the trip is to fully cure him, not because things got worse. Looking through the screen, his eyes shine with real sparkling hope. For the next few months, things seem fine. They call less often, but stay in close touch. Then late October arrives, and the peace instantly shatters. She checks the Los Angeles weather as usual, texting him about the sunny day, but by noon, there is no response. She keeps sending texts, joking about his students asking for him, saying they all still idolize him. She adds that she does too. Even across the years, her dear Professor Xia remains absolutely brilliant. Night falls, but there's still dead silence. Call after call goes unanswered, and she completely panics. For over a year, Xia Ningxi was always so careful. She'd share her surgery times beforehand so he wouldn't worry. This was the first time she went totally silent. He spent the whole night clutching his phone. Morning came, then evening. Still nothing. The cold October wind began to set in. Ye Chen felt completely numb. Those old, buried fears of her tragic past were suddenly clawing their way back.
Every erased fear of her past was now exploding. He prepared himself for the worst possible news.
Maybe she was just too sick to text, or worse. Their mysterious time loop call was simply gone, or she had passed away. He had no answers. Standing on the campus path, he felt as helpless as a lost child.
Students stared, but he didn't care. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out, "Professor Yi!"
He snapped. Grabbing the student's arm, he begged for the exact date Professor Xia died. The student recalled her name on the board, mentioning it was October 9th, 2019. It felt like an absolute bomb just went off right inside his head. The world fell silent. The worried student quickly asked if he was okay.
He couldn't even speak, because according to his mental math, yesterday in her world was exactly October 9th.
The day she died. His last shred of hope was crushed. Their cross-time connection was gone forever. The line was dead. His beautiful moon would never rise again. The grief was too heavy. Crouched on the pavement, he broke down and sobbed like a child. The student stood there awkwardly, offering a tissue, unable to comprehend this level of heartbreak. The student stayed. Afterward, Ye Chen went home and fell into a deep, heavy sleep. He lost track of the days. Then his friend Gu Feng suddenly dragged him up. Gu Feng was furious, asking why he was ghosting everyone, but Ye Chen couldn't even sit up. Terrified, Gu Feng brought water, forcing the glass against his lips. But trying to drink only made him gag, sending him into a violent fit of dry heaving. Sobbing hysterically, he could only call out one single name over and over, Xia Ningxi. Why was he looking for Professor Xia? She was gone, Ye Chen cried.
Gu Feng asked when they had ever even talked. Hearing those words sent a cold shiver down Yi Chen's spine.
Didn't you remember? Ye Chen grabbed his phone to show him the WeChat logs. But he completely froze. Every single chat log was gone, leaving the screen blank. The very last text was a simple holiday greeting she sent years ago, wishing him peace and prosperity. How is this possible? He frantically refreshed, but there was nothing. Gu Feng stared at him like he was insane.
Yi Chen stared back blankly, honestly questioning his own sanity at this point.
Could this entire year with Xia Ningxi have been nothing but a cruel, elaborate dream? He couldn't tell what was real and what was fake anymore. Refusing to believe it, he scrambled out of bed to find any physical proof, but his head spun wildly. Falling back onto the bed, he looked so broken that Gu Feng burst into tears, begging him to snap out of it. Suddenly, a rush of foreign memories flooded his mind like a vivid movie. The movie in his mind showed a crisp, breezy winter afternoon. A slender, elegant woman sat on the porch with a half-read book spread out in front of her. A servant led a young boy into the courtyard, announcing to Professor Xia that her guest had arrived. The boy just stood there, staring silently. She reached over to pour him some tea, but accidentally spilled a bit of the hot water onto her fingers. That broke his trance. He quickly grabbed the teapot, muttering that she couldn't even pour tea right, then sat down stiffly, acting cold. He sat down stiffly, trying to act distant, but she just smiled warmly. She softly told him that his arrival was the answer. This was their very first meeting, changing everything. As Ye Chen is about to leave, Xia Ningxi tells him he is heading back, leaving the boy completely stunned. Lowering his head under the newly lit bronze streetlights, Ye Chen asks Professor Xia if he can borrow his phone, while Xia Ningxi just tilts his head and looks right back at him. Xia Ningxi slides the phone over. Ye Chen takes it with quite a bit of hesitation, staring at the screen for a few minutes before doing anything. He finally starts typing away slowly and carefully, double-checking every single word. Once he feels like he is halfway done with his mission, he hands the device right back.
Xia Ningxi notices the boy's ears are turning bright red for some reason. He just raises an eyebrow, but decides to keep quiet. Ye Chen bites his lip and whispers that he hid a secret on his WeChat. He says if Xia Ningxi ever finds it, they can put the past behind them and finally be together. But then his face goes completely pale, almost like he just remembered a terrible memory, and his nervous voice cuts off right there in the middle of his sentence. Xia Ningxi doesn't push for answers and just offers a soft, gentle smile instead. Yi Chen turns around to leave, looking incredibly disappointed and honestly quite stubborn about the whole thing. He mutters to himself that it's fine because they still have time. Honestly, even if his love feels totally one-sided and humble right now, he just can't stop looking back.
As he reaches the door, Xia Ningxi suddenly calls out to him, wishing him well and telling Ye Chen that they will definitely see each other again. The boy's eyes light up instantly with hope, and his steps get so much lighter as he walks away. But then, boom, a massive wave of dizziness hits our main character. After dealing with a crazy rush of unfamiliar memories, Ye Chen collapses straight onto the floor by his bed. He is completely shocked to realize these are actually his memories.
This scene shows Ye Chen living in Los Angeles between late 2019 and 2020. Since an entirely new set of memories is suddenly appearing in his head out of nowhere, it can only mean one major thing. History changed.
This changes everything. The past has been altered, and Xia Ningxi is actually alive. After they lost contact back in October 2019, Xia Ningxi actually kept meeting up with the past version of Ye Chen all the way until September 2020. Because of this, Ye Chen's brain is literally downloading an entire timeline of new memories that he never experienced before.
This was all Xia Ningxi's absolute master plan. After realizing they lost contact, he deliberately arranged to meet the past Ye Chen so that the memories of his existence would be transmitted straight to the present version of Ye Chen.
So that was the whole point of past Ye Chen meeting him, and that final farewell where he told him to take care and that they would meet again was actually meant for the present version of him. Realizing all of this, Ye Chen is literally laughing and crying at the same time. Not gonna lie, this massive emotional payoff hits completely different, and the author really cooked here. His friend Gu Feng looks absolutely terrified at this reaction, his voice trembling as he asks Ye Chen what is wrong and tells him to stop scaring him. Ye Chen just lunges forward with all his strength and hugs his friend tightly, sobbing uncontrollably and wiping all of his tears and runny nose right onto Gu Feng's shirt because he is just so happy. Xia Ningxi is actually alive. Everything that ever happened between them was completely real and did not get erased. Later on, Ye Chen realizes that a phone call across time and space makes zero sense anyway, so the fact that their entire chat history disappeared right after they disconnected makes complete sense now. He views their year and a half together as a literal blessing from above. But Gu Feng is completely lost, telling Ye Chen that he has no idea what he is talking about, because Professor Shan never died.
Seeing Ye Chen calm down, Gu Feng pulls out his phone to order takeout, asking what he wants. Ye Chen says anything is fine as long as he does not starve, earning a massive eye roll. Gu Feng thought something terrible had happened, but it was just Ye Chen being completely heartbroken over the professor again. At this point, the butterfly effect from changing history has rewritten Gu Feng's memory. He has zero memory of what happened between Ye Chen and Xia Ningxi, and trying to explain that timeline is completely pointless, so Ye Chen just nods, knowing what he has to do. He knows that anything else in his life can be left behind, but Xia Ningxi is the one exception. Gu Feng is left completely speechless and has no idea how to respond. But he doesn't try to stop him either. In this world, some people choose to yield to convention, while others are willing to sacrifice absolutely everything for love. There is no standard definition for the meaning of life, and following your own choice is more than enough. He finishes ordering and puts his phone away. He asks if Ye Chen is going to find him, mentioning that he heard the professor's illness got worse and he went abroad for treatment. This news brings back some worry. But compared to the previous timeline where he was dead, the fact that he is still alive somewhere out there is already the best possible outcome. He is absolutely going to go find him. Under the beautiful starlit October sky, with the window wide open, all of his old memories start flooding back to him. Those memories feel like a gentle letter from the moon itself. He needs to go find his personal moonlight and let that gentle light shine on him once again. Sitting alone in front of the window as the sun rises and the city wakes up, he opens up WeChat. Unsurprisingly, all of their cross-time chats are completely gone, as if the timelines have finally merged. The person on the other end of this chat is now the 2022 version of Xia Ningxi. He realizes that they are finally in the same time period. Xia Ningxi worked so hard to make it from 2019 to 2022 just to see him again. As Ye Chen starts typing a message, he cannot help but tear up at the thought of everything they went through. He sends a message asking if Xia Ningxi of 2022 is doing okay. Since it is still early, the professor probably has not picked up his phone yet, so he just waits patiently.
But this time, he is completely confident that the reply will no longer have to travel across a vast time and space to reach him. As the busy city fully wakes up and bright sunlight floods right into the room, his phone suddenly starts to vibrate gently in his hand. He grabs it instantly to see a text from Xia Ningxi saying he has been waiting for Ye Chen for a very long time, and he immediately starts to cry. This is actually so heartbreaking. For Ye Chen, they were only disconnected for a few days, but for Xia Ningxi, he had to carry his longing and survive all alone for 3 whole years to reach him. Those 3 missing years of his life are something Ye Chen was not there for, making that simple wait for you message hit so much harder. He desperately needs to see him and asks where he is. Ye Chen asks where he is so he can run to him. Xia Ningxi understands completely and replies that he literally just got back yesterday, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Ye Chen asks if meeting his past self made him remember everything. With a touch of rare curiosity, Xia Ningxi mentions that the secret is still hidden in his WeChat. What secret is he hiding? Our guy just smiles behind his screen, gently tapping Xia Ningxi's profile picture. The phone vibrates, showing a chat nudge that says he tapped her shoulder and told her to come into his arms. It is so cute, I almost laughed. Back in 2020, everyone was obsessed with this feature. He actually used it to confess. Ningxi immediately teased him back, inviting him over. You can just picture her gentle, teasing smile right now. They both remember those words. After everything, they are back at the start, and he does not have to fly across oceans anymore. On his way to her place, he gets stuck in traffic again, but this time there is no storm, only beautiful sunshine. The sun lights up the road, but he's still desperate to see her. By noon, he finally reaches her building. He grabs a bouquet of sunflowers, and as he waits at her door, his heart is practically pounding out of his chest. The door opens and a handsome guy looks out, asking with a smile if he is here to find Ningxi. He steps aside and quickly adds that he is her biological brother. Our guy nods, mentioning they met before, but the brother looks completely confused. And yeah, because the timelines merged. Since Xia Ningxi never died in this reality, they never met at her grave, so he has no memory of it. He does not explain, and the brother politely lets it go, calling out to Ningxi as they walk inside. Through the open balcony door, the wind blows. There she is, a delicate woman in a cozy sweater, bathed in warm sunlight.
She looks absolutely stunning, her fair skin glowing in the sun.
They're only a few meters apart, but when their eyes meet, the rest of the world just fades away. The face he kissed in his dreams is finally right here, but his eyes fill with tears, freezing him in place. He is terrified to move, scared that if he touches her, this beautiful dream will vanish into thin air. When her brother asks if this is her boyfriend, Ningxi smiles warmly and says, "No, he is my partner." She walks over, looking at his red eyes, and sighs gently, asking why he is crying again. Before this, he was so desperate to hold her, but now he is too overwhelmed to even reach out. Ningxi leans in close, her warm breath brushing his lips as she softly tells him it was a long journey. Her gentle words only make his tears fall faster. Honestly, my heart is breaking for him. He remembers the years of agonizing pain she had to endure alone. Through all those painful, sleepless nights, she somehow survived. Yet he could not be there to care for her or comfort her. That feeling of helplessness is genuinely soul-crushing. Ningxi wipes his tears away, whispering for him not to be sad. She tells him she is doing great now and pulls him in. He buries his face in her chest, holding her tight, terrified she might disappear if he lets go. She gently pats his back. Both of them walked such a long, painful path just to reach this moment. But they never gave up on each other. Since Ningxi was sick for years, many people kept checking in. Her students constantly dropped by to visit. At first, they were pretty shy around him, calling him Professor Ye. But as they visit more, the students get a lot bolder. Then, on a quiet afternoon, everything shifts. Ningxi just woke up from a nap while Ye was in the study, and a student asked where Master Ye was. She was taken aback for a second before laughing and pointing toward the study, calling out his name. He is deep in thought and does not answer right away, but hearing her call him husband warms his heart. Ningxi walks into the study, placing her hand near his ear and gently asking if he could not hear her. She thinks his cochlear implant might be acting up again. He takes her hand, gently tracing her skin.
His heart races as he tries to gather the courage to ask her to marry him on a beautiful day.
But before he can even get the words out, Ningxi seems to sense it and gently cuts him off.
He knows she is avoiding the topic on purpose, so he is forced to swallow those 3 words back down.
She is terrified of leaving him behind if her health fails, so he chooses not to push her. Instead, Ningxi arranges for him to be the very first patient to receive their new advanced medical implant. She is incredibly nervous about him getting hurt, but the quick procedure goes smoothly, giving him a completely fresh start. Honestly, this new Misheng implant is built different. It merges perfectly, letting Chen finally hear every tiny detail of the world. If he stays quiet, nobody would ever guess he was deaf. For years, he only knew pity and cold stares. He was too insecure to even look at the world. But Xia Ningxi knew, quietly protecting his pride without a word. Instead, he handed the world's sounds to him. Once Misheng hit the market, reporters desperately wanted to interview Xia Ningxi. Even after getting rejected, one reporter kept writing. Touched by her dedication, Xia Ningxi agreed, and she literally burst into tears meeting him.
She explained how her deaf sister could finally hear again. She was just overflowing with gratitude for his work.
She kept calling him a hero, but he hates praise. He just laughed it off, saying she was exaggerating. He joked that he only created this tech to make his favorite person happy. The reporter quickly caught on. Since he hated flattery, she went with the flow, saying whoever won his heart must be an incredible person.
Outside, snow coated the windows, but Xia Ningxi smiled with a warmth that could melt winter. He softly called Chen his only light. The only sun in his dark life. When spring arrived, Chen dragged him to get photos, realizing they did not have a single picture together.
Not even one. They found this vintage street-side studio run by an old photographer, giving the shots a beautiful 90s aesthetic. In the frame, they looked like souls frozen in time, sharing the exact same gentle smile. The old photographer smiled at them. He adjusted his camera, saying he hadn't seen a young couple like them in ages. Xia Ningxi playfully asked what he meant by that.
Gentle, pure, and low-key, but one look is all it takes.
The old man pushed up his glasses. To him, they were just overflowing with love for each other. A match made in heaven, completely incompatible with anyone else. Xia Ningxi smirked, joking that he had to give him a huge tip for that. He literally ran to a nearby shop, bought an envelope, and stuffed it with cash for the photographer. The old man could only laugh and accept. Chen gently pulled his sleeve. A quiet, long-buried hope in his chest finally started to bloom.
He softly asked to take wedding photos next. Instantly, Xia Ningxi's smile faltered, his eyes locking onto him. Chen knew why he hesitated.
From day one, Xia Ningxi warned him he could slip away silently at any moment on some quiet night. Or even a random afternoon. He asked if Chen was scared. This is low-key heartbreaking. Of course he was terrified.
But fear changes nothing. Xia Ningxi fought so hard just to survive this long. Every single day they had together felt like stolen time. They held hands, hugged, and loved with everything they had. If the worst happened, at least they would leave with zero regrets. Chen clung tightly to his arm, teasing that since he might vanish, he had to give him an official title.
So he could legally visit his grave.
Xia Ningxi looked away, swallowing hard as he tried to hold back his tears.
He called his name. Xia Ningxi only used his full name when he was dead serious, asking him softly.
That title meant Chen would visit his grave for decades. Even now, he was just cushioning the blow.
Chen nodded, promising to live to 100 just to visit him.
Xia Ningxi looked back with quiet intensity. And then what? A child asks. Decades later, Chen smiles from his rocking chair.
Xia Ningxi walks out of the house, picks her up, and whispers that they made a promise to never let go. They actually made it.